Welcome to the Productivity Podcast. Delighted today to be joined by Pieter de Villiers from Macanta. Hi, Pieter. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me.
Good. So we're going to find out a bit more about your career history and how you got to doing what you're doing today before we get into why you set up Macanta and the kind of business problems that you're looking to solve. So for those people that are listening that aren't familiar with you, give us a bit of personal background. What have you done in your career history and how did you get to do what you're doing today?
Yeah, so it's strangely, in some regards, I suppose, I'm reasonably unqualified to do what I do today. If you look at it on paper, I didn't finish school, and then not long after that, I grew up in South Africa, and then I came over here, ran a bar for just over 5 years, and then went to university, did a music degree. When I finished that, whilst I was doing that, I was working as a sound engineer and also as a labourer on building sites. When I finished that, after finishing my degree, I retrained and qualified as an electrician, set up my own electrical contracting business, ended up moving that into home automation before home automation was as prevalent as it is today. It was a much harder thing. That business ultimately failed, and I then looked around to see what I can do from there, what skills did I have. And one of the things I actually ended up using in my business was a CRM automation platform called Infusionsoft. And I then started doing Infusionsoft work for other businesses and sort of developed from there, but using it not so much for the marketing automation, but more for business process automation, and spent several years doing that. And that's really that side is what led me to where I am now, and working with Macanta.
Brilliant. So a varied journey there, and yeah, like all of us, I don't think we probably qualified for the stuff we do, or when we set out in life, thought we'd need a qualification unless we wanted to be a doctor or something that required one to get where we are today. So really interesting journey. And tell us then about what sparked the idea for Macanta. Why did you do it? Clearly you were doing some consultative work and config work for something that maybe is similar. So where did the lightning bolt, or when did the lightning bolt hit?
Yeah, so the original lightning bulb wasn't mine. When I was working with Infusionsoft, after a few years of doing that, I ended up working for an organization here in the UK, sort of on a 3-day-a-week basis. And I met another Infusionsoft partner who was also working there, but doing different kind of stuff and more development. And when shortly after I left that organization, Pete left as well, and he ended up starting Macanta as a plugin for Infusionsoft, an add-on to sort of solve two main problems. One being to simplify the interface, because with products like Infusionsoft and other off-the-shelf CRM tools, you log in and what you get is what you get. And if it's more than your staff needs, then you have to train them on what to ignore and what not to go near. And the other problem that Macanta originally solved for Infusionsoft is, like most CRMs, Infusionsoft is contact-centric, but generally within many businesses, there is other information other than the contact that needs to drive things and you need to store. So sort of that one-to-many relationship. A simple example would be, let's say you run a vet. Fine, I'm your customer, but I have 2 pets, and you need to be able to manipulate and drive the business based on the information on the pets. But of course, no pet has a phone number or address or email address or anything like that. So that's sort of where Macanta started, as an add-on for Infusionsoft. And then it was so then we went on a bit of a journey of Pete working on Macanta, me doing Infusionsoft stuff, and we ended up having the same customers. So we decided to just get into one boat and row from there. And it was sort of around December 2008 Is that right? No, 2019, that we then decided to make the move and completely abstract Macanta from Infusionsoft, because we realized the problems we're solving aren't Infusionsoft problems, they're business problems. So we then, in February 2020, we launched Macanta as a fully standalone product, full API and Zapier integration and stuff, so you can still link it to platforms like Infusionsoft, but it's a fully standalone platform for that, and that's where we are now. We've just released a big update. Pieter subsequently decided to leave the business and pursue other things, but we're pushing on with Macanta as from our perspective, I'd say at least, a fairly unique solution to some business problems.
And what are the typical business problems that you're helping to solve? So you mentioned there that it was wider than the software that you were previously plugged into. So what are were the business problems that you look to solve?
Yeah, so there's a couple of key bits of technology in Macanta that allows us to do certain things. So the first is what we call data objects, where you're able to specify what is on the screen, what information you're collecting, and how it's laid out. So by creating the data objects, you're actually building a custom interface for your business CRM without having to write any code at all. And the second piece is relationships. So rather than just having contacts in your system, you can then specify relationships to these data objects. So if I can give you an example, let's look at real estate, because we all sort of understand the concept of buying and selling a property. And it's really the property that goes through the process of being sold and bought. It's not the individuals who are involved. So you really want to manage the process based around the property. So in this instance, you would create a property as a data object, and then lots of different contacts in your system can have different relationships. So I can be the vendor, you can be someone who came to view it. We can have a couple of solicitors involved. There's an agent, 4 other people who viewed it. What Macanta then allows you to do is drive the automation and the processes and task management and everything based around the property with the intelligence of the relationship. So a real world example of that would be, let's say, for instance, you've come to view a property and now you're putting an offer on, you're making an offer on that property. That can then trigger automation to email the vendor to say, hey, we've just received an offer, please give us a call so we can discuss it. You can automatically email the 4 people who came to view the property and say, hey, someone's made an offer. If you're still interested, you need to get a move on. You can notify the agent, anything like that. And just to be clear, I'm using real estate, not because we're a real estate product, but it's just within a context that I think most people can understand. But you can therefore completely automate and systemize the processes and everything in your business based around these unique data sets, rather than it being driven by the individual. Because the problem you have, if you drive it by the individual, what if someone goes and views 5 properties? How do you keep track of which 5 they viewed? Has any of those properties had another viewing or another offer? And do you need to notify them of any of it? So when you've got that one-to-many relationship, to then drive automation around that data set is just much simplified. And then simplified interface, because we have the ability that depending on your role in the business, when you log into the system, you see a different interface. If you don't need to see everything, then you can have a very simplified interface that allows you to just focus on doing your job, and then someone in a more senior or a different position has access to more information.
So we're presenting data in a different way, and presenting that data to people, or the data that only people in certain positions need to see, which is interesting, and kind of, back to your initial points, cuts down on having to tell people which buttons not to press rather than to press, or which bits to ignore.
Yeah, very much. And we also, one thing we also do is we like to encourage our users to set up a system to train the staff. So we have in the system the ability to embed training on every aspect of the system. Even on a per field level, you can add helper text or video or anything that comes in a pop-up. so that when someone logs in, if they're not sure what a particular thing on the screen does, they just click on the little question mark, and then text or a video or whatever can tell them exactly what that part is for, so that the system trains the staff and they can just focus on getting the job done, rather than ending up with sort of the eavesdrop or the Chinese whispers way of training people. And then you find a year down the line, nothing's being done the way you intended because there's no structured system in place.
And I assume then you can push data out to other various third-party applications by the property or the people, so you can kind of fulfill other systems requirements with the data that you're capturing?
Yes, and that's a two-way street. So we have a lot of clients that use it both ways. There's a partner or an industry-specific tool that they need to use, and at the right point that fires information at Macanta. They then do their job in Macanta, and at the specified point it can fire it at any other system. So we've got a full open REST API where you can build whatever integration you need, but we also have Zapier and Integrately integrations, so you can quickly get up to speed with setting those things up as well.
And is this a software as a service model? Is it a locally deployed model? What kind of structure do you get your clients to buy into?
Yeah, it's software as a service, so no local deployment. And there's a couple of things we do. You have to request it. It doesn't come as standard because most people won't need it, but we do give you full read-only access to the backend database for your instance, so you can run SQL queries and do things with the data on reporting or whatever that you wouldn't normally be able to do, as granular as you need. And you then also, as far as the licensing is concerned, you only ever pay for active users. So let's say you've got 5 people on your team and 5 people are logging in a billing cycle, you would pay for all 5. But if one of them goes off on maternity leave and you don't get a replacement in that period, if they don't log in the billing cycle, then we don't charge you for that account. It's not that you're being charged for registered dormant user accounts. It's only ever for people who are actively logging in.
Brilliant. And what kind of stuff are you guys thinking about for the future? Where's your roadmap heading? What things can you share with us around functionality or features that you're looking to add?
Yeah, so we've just released a completely from the ground up rebuild of the whole front end interface, tied to some enhancements to the automation engine and the data structure in the back. So we are this week releasing two-way email sync functionality. So if someone replies to an email that came out of your CRM, that reply will sit on their record in the CRM. And if someone on your team replies from their own inbox, rather than from within the CRM, they reply from their own inbox, then that message will also sit on the record. So you've got a real clear view of information. And the next step for us, the progression that we're working on from that, is what we're calling Macanta Conversations, which will allow you to have full two-way conversation via web chat, SMS, and WhatsApp direct from the Macanta interface. So gone are the days of needing an office mobile phone so that someone can hold and see the replies to text messages that have gone out. And those will then obviously be linked, or have the ability to have them linked to a specific data object in the system, so that you have clear visibility of what the conversation is about. And then the 360 of that is when you look at a data object, if in the system there is a conversation about that object, there's a easy, quick access highlighted link to that, so that you can easily navigate and see what's gone on in previous conversations.
Amazing. So I suspect that's keeping you busy, but look forward to seeing that when it's launched.
Yeah, it'll be good.
And you guys are part of the Pledge 1% movement. So when you bill and bring money into the company, do you want to tell us a bit around the kind of doing good and giving back that Pledge 1% involvement you have?
Yeah, so our at the moment our 1% pledge is that we will give 1% of our revenue to charitable causes, and we choose to do that through an organization called B1G1 or Buy One Give One. So every month when we bill a client, whatever their bill is, 1% of that goes into the pot, and we then allocate this actually on a weekly basis to two main causes for us. One is education for Dalit girls in India. So we buy in batches of 5 days of literacy education for them. And then the other side of our revenue also goes towards supplying mosquito nets in malaria affected countries.
Amazing. Yeah, a lot of respect for you doing that. Really good causes. And much respect from me for taking that pledge. In terms of people reaching out to you, so if they want to find out more about you, about products, maybe getting a demo, digging a bit deeper, where's the best place for them to find you?
Probably just a website, macantacrm.com. There's a contact us there. You can sign up for a free account. It's a fully functioning free account. It's not a cut down version. So you can access everything to your heart's content. The only time you need to put in billing information is if you want to add additional users. And so website's pretty easy. Otherwise, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm fairly easy to find on there. I don't particularly engage much with social media, but if you send me a message on there, then I'm happy to get in touch.
Awesome. And we'll put a link to the website in the show notes so people can quickly click on it and have a look around. So final question from me then as we close. What's the best bit of business advice you've ever been given?
Okay, so that's quite interesting. It's always difficult to pick these things, but one I will pick is actually just what someone asked me. I was in a mastermind setting and we were wrestling with an issue that seemed like we can't solve it. And one of my friends in the group, he just posed the question, and I've actually got it as a sticker up on the wall in my office that just reads, "Can you solve a different problem?" And just by him asking that, we then just paused, got a bit more elaboration on the question, and because we changed our shift in what we were trying to fix, the other problem became immaterial and we didn't have to solve it anymore. And it's up on the wall because I just think in life and in business, we very often get so focused on this thing we're trying to solve that we're not seeing anything else or other opportunities or a better way. We get so into the tunnel. And I think it's incredibly important when you hit a brick wall to ask such a question and perhaps just see, well, actually, this wall is in front of me. That might be an indication I'm heading in the wrong direction rather than I need to get across this wall.
No, I like that one. Not one I've heard before, but yeah, in the same theme as kind of seeing the bigger picture, isn't it? Standing back and assessing your surroundings. But no, that's a good one to add to our collection of business advice. Thank you. Peter, it's been a pleasure to have you on, learn more about you and the stuff you've been working on. And say we will put a link to Macanta in the show notes so people can find you. And as you say, they can reach out on LinkedIn. So for now, appreciate your time for coming on. Look after yourself and take care.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Take care.